Should we go ahead and get started, or is there like an official cue? All right. Let's start. We're going to start with a little video to introduce the conversation here.
In 2020, Charles River Laboratories set a bold goal to accelerate the confident delivery of software products while transforming into a digital organization who could consistently attract and retain great talent and deliver real business outcomes. With customers demanding leading-edge digital tools to engage in the clinical research and drug testing process, as well as CRL team members asking for more efficient and streamlined ways of work, the landscape was ripe for innovation. CRL reached out to NearForm for assistance in this large-scale digital transformation project.
We set out on a journey to differentiate CRL as a leader whose combination of technology and preclinical research expertise could speed the time to market of new drugs by at least a year, a target that would be unprecedented in our space. Key elements to enable that include shifting to a product-driven structure in how we organize, budget, and define success, empowering and enabling our world-class talent, and implementing agile delivery to drive confidence. In addition, our technology has moved from a traditional COTS stack with a monolithic architecture to TypeScript and a series of agile MVPs that have now become the current apps, all running in a JavaScript ecosystem on the MS Azure DevOps Cloud.
By focusing in on the customer experience with NearForm, CRL have seen tremendous results even in the MVP stage. Firstly, the partnership has delivered multiple MVPs of an industry-first digital collaboration platform for CRL's customers. Secondly, CRL has been empowered to scale a global data hub that serves as a central source of truth for mission-critical data and analytics. Thirdly, CRL has been able to achieve fully automated production releases in just minutes. Additionally, NearForm has assisted CRL in building a modern microservices-based architecture, creating scale through reuse. Finally, the NearForm and CRL partnership has assisted in the development of persistent, product-based teams scaled across the estate.
Leveraging partners like NearForm, who custom-build teams that are product-minded, tied to business outcomes, and help us build the capability to attract and grow our CRL talent, have been an important part in accelerating this journey. That has also helped us simply deliver production-ready digital experiences for our clients and employees that enable us to rapidly create value.
With digital transformation well underway, the future at Charles River is bright.
All right, thank you. Great to have everyone here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Bret Cunningham. I'm part of the NearForm team. We're one of the sponsors of the event, actively involved in the OpenJS world and our digital services provider. And I want to introduce Mark Mintz, the CIO of Charles River. Why don't you just say hi to the crowd, and in doing so, just start off by telling us a little bit about Charles River as an organization. What do you all do? And maybe set the stage for the challenges you had from a digital journey perspective and the kind of journey you've gone on, and what are the big challenges that were in front of you and are in front of you?
Sure, happy to. I'm Mark Mintz. I'm as Bret said, the CIO at Charles River Labs. And as you can see from the video, hopefully I'm much better at technology than acting, so we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. But so I've been at Charles River Labs for just over a year, actually almost 18 months now. And I was brought in to lead our digital and technology transformation. Charles River Labs is a contract research, development, and manufacturing organization. And so we work with biotechs and pharmaceutical companies, helping them develop preclinical, bring their drugs to the clinic for clinical trials. So we work in the preclinical phase, various different services around development, research, and testing their products or their drugs before they get to the clinical stage. While it's a very data-driven industry and data-driven environment, it's also very low automation, very low digitization. Likely because it's there's quite a bit of regulatory scrutiny from places like the FDA and other regulators that require a lot of different verifications and so on, while on one hand you would think are, perfect space for technology, as an industry as a whole, it's been very low-tech and paper-based and not digitized. So, my role is to really explore how we could bring technology across everything we do to better leverage our data, better leverage our insights, better leverage technology and analytics to help drive our mission, which our main objective is to take time off the drug development life cycle. So, as you probably know, it takes many, many years to go from discovering a drug to the point where it's ready for patients to take safely. So any time that we can cut off in that cycle just means that life-saving medicines and therapies can get to patients more quickly and help save more lives. So it's a pretty exciting mission. We have, as a company, we've worked on over 85% of the drugs that come to market in the past year and over any given year. So it's a great place to apply technology because we're actually really making a difference and having the opportunity to hopefully save lives and get people medications and therapies that they need that much quicker.
Perfect. And you talked a little bit about the goal of accelerating the time to market by a year. Maybe just talk about the organization as you joined, as you started that digital journey. How was the engineering and product organization formed or organized? What were kind of some of the key challenges that you're sort of going after as you start to mature?
Yeah, so going back 18 months, we didn't have the capability that we needed to drive this transformation. We had some teams in places doing some of this work, but given the fact that it was a fairly manual and paper-based environment, it was nowhere near what we needed to be able to scale something like this. We had really great people, but they were kind of working in little bits and silos across different businesses. So we really needed to accelerate the learning of those people that we had, make sure that they were able to kind of contribute at the scale and technology that we needed, but then also to ramp up our capabilities to bring in skills that we didn't have. So a larger number of data engineers, data scientists, web and mobile engineers, cloud engineers, APIs, microservices, all of those kinds of things. We had very little capability and needed to build that from the team that we had, as well as bringing in new talent from outside. And that's also where we also partnered with NearForm, because we knew that especially in the world we live in now and in the markets we live in now, to get the number of people at the scale we needed to get them all integrated and working together quickly enough wouldn't be fast enough for what we needed to do. So we needed to bring in a partner that could help us kind of, get the ball rolling, get the scale going while we were building out our team and continuously adding new capabilities so that we could develop more and more technology over time.
Great. And, we've talked about, in thinking, kind of dwelling on that talent subject for a moment, right? And becoming sort of a destination, we've talked about even in our conversations, a destination so that Charles River is able to attract, retain, and grow that sort of digital talent. What are some of the programs that come to mind that have started to be successful? Even things like, an academy where there's, where you're looking at talent in the market, training them to be more effective within your environment. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the things you've thought about or are doing to become that destination for digital talent.
Yeah. Well, I think first off, it goes back to what we were talking about around the mission and what we do, right? It's if you can't get excited about that, right? Helping create, healthier lives, helping save lives, it's pretty awesome. And one of the things that I try to do is create an environment where we hire great people and let them do the work, right? Get out of their way, give them the tools, put them in the right team structures, and get out of their way and empower them to make great decisions, to build great technology, and support them and remove impediments, remove roadblocks, and those kind of things, so that they can deliver, they can bring the best themselves, deliver great technology, and be as high impact as they can be. And so that also includes a lot of just learning and development, right? So we follow kind of a 70-20-10 learning model where it's more about doing the work than necessarily taking a class, right? So having teams where we have more senior people with more junior people so that people can coach and learn and grow from each other, giving opportunities to people to work on new and different things, so that they can continuously build new skills and new capabilities and bring new ideas to the team, right? Working in the cloud and with all cloud services, there's new services every day, right? So people are encouraged to go out and see what's out there, see what's intriguing to them, what new platforms, what new services, what new languages, learning those and then bringing them back to say, hey, is this something we can use? Is it something that's going to enable us to go faster or deliver better results? And so really just making it a place where good people are happy to work. They're not micromanaged. They're constantly learning. They're working with great people and they're building things that add real value.
Absolutely. One of the things we've seen with clients is, some of the things you say remind me of the word innovation, right? Trying new things, determining if they can make a real impact, right? And be enterprise grade within your business and doing that quickly, right? And doing that, it's something that helps attract the great talent and keeps people dedicated. Let's shift a little bit to technology, right? We're at the OpenJS event. Talk a little bit about, and you mentioned it in the video, what are some of the decisions that went in and how did you determine, how to kind of standardize around a technology stack? What's the role that open source has played in your technology environment? Maybe talk through that for the audience specifically.
Yeah, and so as I said in the video, the operating model had previously been around kind of COTS packages for a specific thing, a lab system or something like that. And I knew that wasn't going to work for what we wanted. While we need those for things like gathering data in the labs and so on, for the kind of digital experiences we're talking to build, where we're directly collaborating with our customers and so on, I knew that wasn't going to work from a user experience perspective and as well from a time to market and flexibility perspective. So, JavaScript and open source technologies like React and Node.js and so on were important because they enable us to, first off, get the most out of our talent, right? Because by being able to work front end and back end across many different things enables us to really, be fluid and efficient, and as we spin up new teams to split people out and move people around and create new reusable services that we can split out and so on and so forth. So it enabled us to move quickly, and also knowing that there's just a huge community out there of people that work in these technologies gives us the comfort that we'll find the people. We'll find the people who can do these because we have a great mission, we're building really great stuff, and we're using technology that is innovative, cutting edge, and there's a huge and growing community for. So by working in those technologies, it really gives us the ability to scale as quickly as possible and build really great customer experiences as quickly as we're trying to do.
Awesome. Maybe let's shift to what I might call results or outcomes, right? Starting maybe at the highest level, the strategic level, how have you started to define success? And then make your way down to the actual products themselves, the platforms you're building, under the notion of shifting towards business-driven, driving business success or outcomes. Maybe talk through how you've defined that, and perhaps there's success. There's kind of where you want to get to, the destination. What are the steps along the way, and how are you kind of showing progress as you go?
Yeah, for sure. So, as we said earlier, really our overarching, and this isn't just just a technology thing, but Charles River in general, our objective is to take a year or more out of the drug development timeline, which again is a huge, first off, it have a huge impact, and it's no small feat to do. And so, we had to bite that off in smaller chunks. There's no way we could have enough people, enough capacity, enough scalability to try to do all of that in one go. So, the first thing we did is we set up product-based agile teams that are, six or so people plus or minus, that can really move quickly, and set an objective of 3 months or less to any release. Any and all releases should be 3 months or less. So really forcing ourselves to prioritize what's the minimum viable product, get it out there quickly, and start testing and learning. And so now that's been something that we've kind of ingrained in the organization, and I'll probably hear the word now MVP 100 times in any given day, because that's the way everybody's thinking. And it's it really forces us to prioritize what do we need to do, how do we get it out as quickly as possible, and then learn from it. And then having product-based teams that are persistent, that live on, those teams then launch those into production, get feedback, understand where it's working, understand where we need to make improvements, understand what new features to add, and just continually do those. And as long as we're making impact in terms of usage, in terms of the KPIs that we're looking to hit, in terms of how people are using the applications, we just continue down that path until we see the value coming from it, and we can we know we've achieved our mission. So we've had multiple MVP releases across many different things. One of our biggest products is our digital collaboration platform. So, like I said before, much of what we do is kind of manual and paper-based, which includes a lot of emails and phone calls back and forth with customers, and odd ways to share documents and things like that. So one of the things we're building is our digital collaboration platform, where we can, engage with our customers through a platform, whether it's sharing data, whether it's, submitting, looking, procuring work and things like that. The objective is that, over time, anything a customer would want to do with us, they can actually go through our digital platform to do. Obviously then freeing our people up to do the much more high value work of actually doing the science and running the work, versus having to share data and send emails, which obviously isn't has other challenges as well. So that's a big thing we've been working on, and we've had many kind of MVPs and scaling moments of that across our businesses. To support that, we're kind of corralling all of our data from across all of our businesses, putting that into our data lake and our data hub, so that it can feed our digital platforms, but then also can enable AI and ML and analytics across all of our different businesses and opportunities. So it's a huge opportunity for us to create direct value with the data, but then also use the data for other things to create byproduct, additional dependent products on that. We've obviously, are moving all of this into the cloud, or building all of this in the cloud native, which gives us fully automated DevOps pipelines, automated testing, and all of those great things, so that again, we can move as quickly as possible. And then leveraging just modern cloud-based architectures. We're using a lot of serverless and all, microservices and things like that, and APIs and so on and so forth, so that we could kind of create reuse. We have a lot to do, and a lot to digitize, and a lot to automate. And so, the more that we can create that's reusable, obviously the faster we can go. And, one of the kind of objectives that we set for ourselves is, whenever we do something the second time, it should take us a lot less time than it did the first time. And then, hopefully by the third or fourth time, it takes us much less time, because we've figured out ways to make it reusable and more flexible, so that we could continue to scale quickly. And then the last one, like I said, was the persistent product-based team. So it's not about projects where, we do a piece of work, we release it to production, and we say, good luck, like hopefully it all works. There's a huge customer component to this, where, across most of our teams, if not all of them, we're talking to our customers every sprint. So every 2 weeks, maybe every 4 weeks at a max, we're talking to them about what's working, what's not working. Do you like, is this easy to navigate? Is it confusing? What features do you need? And as long as we're getting that feedback and we're getting good responses, we'll keep the teams going until we're comfortable that we've achieved the value, and then we'll assess from there if we need to, move on to something else or so on. But it's very much about building digital products that can enable the business and enable us to grow, and enable our customers to be successful and find Charles River the best partner to work with.
Maybe pushing on that, so that's great background. And you described a lot of the steps you're taking as you shift from sort of a project-based organization to product-based. And I've had a lot of conversations with CIOs and business leaders over the last few years about this. Touch on even the budgeting process a bit. You talked about kind of taking that product mindset, organizing the teams, long-term roadmap. Has it modified or changed the way you think about budgeting and really tying back to business outcomes in doing so?
Yeah. So we do a quarterly budgeting process. So obviously we have a broader pool of funding and we kind of have general ideas of where it's going to go across our major initiatives. But every quarter, and we now have every one of our product teams are grouped into kind of broader initiatives, and those initiatives come into a quarterly review process where we talk about what's the business case? Has the business case changed? To get a team set up, you need to have a business case that is robust enough at the earliest stage to know that there's value there to do something. And we check in every quarter and see how it's going. Did you hit on your commitments? Do you need more resources? Are we at a point where we've kind of hit enough scale and we think the next dollar might not be worth it in that place to move to someplace else? And we do that every quarter and we allocate the funds accordingly. And then it allows us to make sure that, as new opportunities arise that maybe we didn't see because of a changing market or something like that, or if teams make better progress, or maybe we thought we were further along than we were and we need to take a step back, it allows us to adjust. So it's all in that kind of agile mindset of let's empower the teams to do what they're expected to do, and let's check in regularly to see how it's going and see what we can do to help them and make sure we're making all the right decisions to get to where we need to get to.
Great, absolutely. So maybe if you just kind of take a step back, right? We've got an audience with engineering leaders, technology leaders, business leaders, engineers. What kind of is your advice, right, for an enterprise that's going on this journey? How to kind of break it down, be successful, define success, and make progress along the way?
Yeah. So, and some of my points are up here, but so I think, that one about rethinking technology, building your own technology, I think is important. Now, it doesn't mean you have to build everything, right? There are certain things that are just kind of more commodity based, or, they're so advanced that there's no reason to build it because you'll just get it out of the box and you could install it and with minimal effort it'll work and it'll run. A lot of operational systems are that way. But when you're talking about things that are directly integrating with customers, that are really driving the way you engage with customers, or can really drive the way you work in a much more efficient way, it's always going to be better to build it, because anything that is kind of out of the box is going to be set up to handle thousands of different permutations, and you only need two, and trying to get it all to work. It's just more headache than it is. So I always take the approach of, if it's truly strategic and kind of distinctive for our company, we should build it. If it's something that's kind of more commodity based, we should just buy it. If we're going to build it, it needs to be modern, it needs to be open source, it needs to be cloud native, because again, all of those things give us the most flexibility, the most automation, and the access to the best talent pools that can make all of these, build all of these technologies, and not just engineers, but designers and all of those roles help us to deliver these things. So that's first. Second is around the talent. At the end of the day, the best technologies in the world don't implement themselves. Somebody has to do it, and it's all about the people. And so having, really great talent that is passionate about what they do, considers it kind of a craft and an art form, not just a 9-to-5 job, but is always learning and developing and growing, is at conferences like this, trying to learn new and different things. Those are the people you need. And then, they should always be learning, creating a culture of learning, creating a culture of development. And then, like I said before, getting out of their way and giving them the tools and the support they need to build great stuff. And then obviously an agile mindset, right? So while we get out of the way, we also need to check in regularly to make sure that, people aren't veering off the path, right? So whether it's sprint reviews or our quarterly reviews, it's these set checkpoints where we could check in to make sure, hey, are things on the right path? How can we help steer? But also be, getting these MVPs out in market, getting our feedback on how it's working so that we could continuously be iterating and adjusting. And sometimes it's not going to work, and feeling comfortable that we thought we knew what was going to work and we put it out or we try it and it doesn't work, and we get our feedback from our customers and we adjust it and move on. So having that mindset across the organization, from teams to leaders outside of myself, is also really important, so that everybody kind of gives the same support to all of our teams. And then a customer obsession, right? So as much as we know the industry, as much as we know the work, as much as we know the science, we don't walk in our customer, we don't do their jobs, they do their jobs. So really, digging deep into what do our customers do, what's painful for them, what would they like to do, what are all the other distractions going on in their day that are impacting the way they engage with us, and how can we make all of that better? And then also then delivering the solutions and checking back, because again, we have, as much as we're interacting with them every couple weeks or so, it's still very limited interaction. So, the only way to really understand how well it's working is to give it to them and check it out and test it and validate and keep adjusting. And then also the last point there around reimagining the journey. I like to use the analogy of like building an Uber versus building, like an app that sits on top of, like the New York City taxi or any taxi, right? Like you could put an app and still have the same taxi company in the background doing all their same old outdated processes. And the app might look good, but is it going to really do all that much? Whereas if you look at like an Uber, the whole thing is, digital native from the ground up, completely reimagined, so on and so forth. And we have to be more like the Uber, because if we just try to put an app on top of the same old process, it's only going to get us so far. And the real benefit and the real impact is going to come when you reimagine the whole thing, and don't think of it as just a technology, but we're really redoing the whole entire thing. And when we do that, we get some pretty awesome results and are able to really move the needle. So it's pretty exciting when it works out, and when we're able to really find those opportunities where we could completely reshape and reimagine the journey.
Great. I love the customer obsession. It really shows, in my mind, the product mindset that you're bringing to the organization, and who's at the sort of center of the way that the team is thinking. I think we have 1 or 2 minutes. We were going to open it up to the crowd if there's any questions. Otherwise, I know we've got some Mark and I's contact information. We're happy to hang out here for a few minutes or right outside. I don't know exactly the schedule in this room after this session, but if folks in the audience want to connect, we're happy to do that as well. Any specific questions for Mark or the team up here? Right there.
I would say probably 3 or 4 years ago, it probably would have been. I think, prior to starting the actual work, we did a broader kind of digital strategy and effort, and I think it really opened people's eyes to there's a whole world of technology out there that we at Charles River are not really taking advantage of. And so by coming in and stepping into this role and having done this, many times before in previous roles, part of why I was so excited about it was because I did have the leeway to do these kind of things. So there wasn't as big a challenge here, although in previous lives I have seen where companies, particularly procurement departments and things like that, get a little bit skittish about it. But at the end of the day, I've never had a situation where we weren't able to overcome that by getting people comfortable with open source licenses and what it means and how it works. I think our bigger opportunity in Charles River is to now give back a bit to the open source community, where we've been now using this for about a year, a little bit over a year, using open source technology. So my big push to the team is to actually start working on contributing back, not just being users, but innovators and developers of open source. That's where it does get a little bit trickier on the internal side with, IP and some, legal requirements and so on. But again, I don't see much pushback other than just having the conversations to get people comfortable with what it really means and how it works.
Great. Any other quick questions? All right, I think that's a great place to land. Mark, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining us here in Austin this week. Like I said, Mark and I will stand outside for a few minutes if folks want to connect. We appreciate you for coming, and have a good rest of the week or the show.
Thank you.